Welcome to ZADM Facts. Today we will talk about 15 facts about psychological. Please stay with us. 15 facts about psychological. I'm pretty sure that will blow your mind. The field of psychology concerned with the science of mind and behavior. The research aims to understand why we are as we have been for decades and will continue into the future. We're learning more and more every day, but there's still a lot we don't know. Some research findings are more compelling than others. Did you know that punctuation in text messages makes you feel insincere? Seatbelt. You're going on a wild psychological trip. The following psychological facts may just explain or confirm some of the things you see in yourself or others. Number 1. We have a plan B. Our plan A is less likely to work. Scientists from the University of Pennsylvania studied the performance of volunteers on a given task and found that participants who thought of a backup plan performed worse than those who did not. They'd also found that when participants realized they had other options, their motivation dropped. This is related to expectation theory, developed by Victor H. Vroom in 1964. Expectation theory basically says that your motivation for something is a function of your having expectations. Wait for success in that or not. The inherent contingency plan is that you won't get it right the first time. The researchers say it's important to think ahead, but be careful not to get too caught up in the details. You may unwittingly sabotage your success. Number 2. Yawning can help us bond. The workday has just begun and you're ready to do a lot. You're sitting in your room during your morning meeting when the guy next to you lets out an obnoxious yawn. Before you know it, you're yawning yourself, but you're not even tired. It's a yawning response. There are different theories as to why yawning is contagious. One of the main ones is the empathetic yawn response. This may explain why young children who have not yet developed a sense of empathy or who are autistic are less likely to yawn. Number 3. We care more about one person than major tragedies. In another study from the University of Pennsylvania, researchers looked at people's behavior in donating to causes based on several dimensions. Certain likes. One group shows a starving young girl. The second group learned a statistic about millions of people starving to death. And the third group learned both. Those who had only heard of statistics contributed the least, followed by those who had heard of both. Those who heard about her gave double what the statistical team did. Psychologists attribute this to the fact that if a problem seems too big, we feel helpless and insignificant, as if our efforts will be fruitless. In this case, it seems more feasible to help save a starving girl than to end world hunger. Number 4. The beginning and the end are easier to remember than the middle. Have you ever run errands and forgotten your shopping list? When you try to remember things without it, you can visualize it and remember things almost beginning and ending. But the stuff in between is a bit lackluster. A study published in the journal Frontiers of Human Neuroscience confirmed this. This is called the serial position effect. This is also why you may remember the end of the manager's presentation, but not the middle. So that's really one thing, and you may not have ADHD in the end. Number 5. You've probably heard the advice to start and end your day by thinking of a few things you're grateful for. This helps us stay balanced because we have so-called negative biases that make us focus on the bad things rather than the good. It doesn't help if you reflect on the negative things that make you depressed. Aim for the ratio of 5 good and bad things in your life. You might just be showing off something great. Number 6. Food tastes better when someone else makes it. Have you ever wondered why food always tastes better when mom makes it? In fact, food tastes better whenever someone else makes it if they're a good cook. The researchers suggest this is because when you cook a meal for yourself, by the time you're ready to eat it, it's been so long that the feeling is less exciting and therefore, you're less likely to enjoy it. Number 7. We'd rather know something bad is happening than not know what's going to happen. Have you ever felt a stomach ache when someone said, "We need to talk"? Your mind is instantly flooded with a million different bad things that it could happen. If it's a romantic partner, you may want him to break up with you right away. If he is your boss, you want him to fire you immediately. Researchers have found that we would rather know something bad is about to happen than be uncertain. Indeed, when our brain doesn't know what to expect, it goes overboard trying to predict all possible consequences, good and bad. Number 8. When a rule seems too strict, we want to break it more limited in their efforts to regain the freedoms they perceive to be deprived. This is most evident in adolescence. When restrained, they can not only sneak out, but also engage in other risky behaviors as a form of response. Number 9. There's a reason we want to squeeze cute things for puppies and babies. Don't you just want to love, squeeze, and cuddle them? Well, apparently it's a natural response called acting cute. According to an article in the journal Frontiers in Behavioral Neuroscience, the idea behind cute aggression is when we are overwhelmed by positive feelings, such as those elicited by a puppy or baby cute baby. A little aggression will balance those extreme emotions so that we don't harm innocent little creatures. Number 10. We unwittingly believe what we want to believe. Confirmation bias is the tendency to interpret events in a way that confirms what we already believe. This explains why people with certain political views prefer certain media over others. Forget about trying to get Uncle Fred to change his stance on international relations. Confirmation bias not only causes us to seek out information that is consistent with what we already believe, but it also causes us to reject conflicting information. Number 11. You are programmed to love the music you heard in high school the most. Good music triggers the release of dopamine and other feel-good chemicals. It's my jam, says every teen at a party at some point. Well, in high school, or actually 12 to 22, when the importance of everything seemed to increase, music included. Studies show that we connect with the music to which we are attached in adolescence, more than we will in adulthood, regardless of the passage of time. Number 12. Memories are more like reconstructed images than precise snapshots. False memories are something that you keep in your head, but are not really true in whole or in part. An example might think you've started the dishwasher before you left for work when you really haven't. Indeed, our brain can sometimes fill in the blanks incorrectly, when it only remembers the essentials of what happened. Number 13. We look human faces, even in inanimate objects. A common example is the man in the moon. Some scientists argue that the fact is that as social creatures, facial recognition is so important that we'd rather create one that doesn't exist than miss out on one that does. Number 14. People raise our high expectations, and not if we have low expectations. The Pygmalion effect is a psychological phenomenon in which high expectations lead to improved performance. In a famous study from the 1960s, researchers told teachers that randomly selected students had high potential based on their scores on an IQ test. They found that those who were identified as high-performing students ended up becoming high-achieving students, at least in part due to high expectations from their teachers. Number 15. Our brains don't think the long term is important. Yes, you can start that big project for work or school right now, but you have a few months. Before you know it, those months have passed and you're trying to cram month-to-month work into days. Urgent and unimportant missions are more attractive. They bring instant gratification because they're quicker and easier on your to-do list. Our brains process short-term deadlines, like those measured in days, better than long-term deadlines like months or years.